Hello, my name is Poppy Davis, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ecological Farming Association. Today I want to talk a little bit about Twitter, which is a great tool for anyone to use who's interested really in any subject, but I'm going to talk about some things that I've learned about using Twitter to be more effective in learning about what's going on today in food and farming and in rural communities and in some of the urban farming movements and in all sorts of really interesting little very specific things that are going on. It's sort of micro news. It's called microblogging, and it is a way to get really specific news about things you're interested in. When you set up a Twitter account and you first choose your username, the one piece of advice I'll give you right off the bat is to try to pick a really short username. Because when you make a tweet, you want to be able to have, you only have 140 characters. So I'm going to tweet right now. I am giving a webinar on how to use Twitter. And then I'm going to give it this tag, Ag Chat. And I'm going to give it another tag, food, and I'm going to tag it organic, and I'm going to tag it what the heck, I'll tag it school lunch, and I'm going to tag it school garden, and how about farm bill? And I'll show you how all these tags work in just a second. Now, down here you see I still have 40 characters left, 36 characters left that I can use. That's important, because when I tweet it, if I tweeted something important, I would want people to be able to retweet it. And what that means is that they would go in and they would copy this tweet. Oh, they'd copy the tweet. And they'd say, I'm going to retweet what that person said. And now you see I've lost a few characters. I'm down to 21 characters. So if I had a really long username, like Poppy Davis is so super duper cool, then by the time I've said what I'm going to say and added my whole username, I'm almost out of space, and no one's going to be able to repeat that. So one of the things when you set up is to have a short name. I'm going to go ahead and send out this tweet. And now I'm going to show you what all these hashtags are about. When you go into Twitter and you think of some things that you want to search, you search the tag I just set out, you see the tweet that I just set out, but what you also see are all sorts of other people who've decided that they're going to share that hashtag, and there's an internal conversation going on. You can see people are using these different hashtags: farm, ag chat, food, livestock, ag block, animal health. And then sometimes people throw in a little humor and they make up hashtags that people aren't really following, but it's just a little bit of an internal Twitter humor. And part of the whole beauty of Twitter is people going back and forth with each other. So what you see when you look here is when you scroll down, you see that the tweets mostly have something in them that's highlighted. What they're looking for is a tweet should have a link somewhere, and it should have a tag, or it should mention some other Twitter user most of the time. So when you click on someone's account, you kind of get a sense of how social that person is. You can look and see how many people they're following, how many people are following them. This person hasn't been on Twitter very long at all. I'm going to go ahead and follow this person. And I scroll down and I look at their tweets, and I can see that this person is already, they kind of get it. They're going back and forth with other people. They're tweeting with links in what they're doing. And so they look like they might be an interesting person to get to know. And I can see that this is someone, how else would I have an opportunity to meet someone and interact with someone like this? She's from Colorado. She says she's a foodie. She loves good friends, good wine. But she's raised in Southern California and lived in all these other places and in Colorado. That's someone I wouldn't meet on the street. Is someone that might have some interesting ideas to share about food and agriculture, might be sharing some interesting videos or interesting articles to read. One of the ways that you can find which hashtags to use, so people don't necessarily know what to search. If I just type farm in here to search, I'm going to get a lot of random things. I could get something as vague as Old MacDonald had a farm. Sometimes Twitter's slow here. So anything that has the word farm in it comes up when I just type the word farm in. Do you miss visiting the farm? Doesn't seem like a very relevant thing. Farm, it's just random. And that's the difference between typing in the word farm and typing in hashtag farm. When I type in hashtag farm, now I'm only going to get the tweets where people deliberately put it in there. And the reason they deliberately put it in there is because they're actively trying to be part of a smaller conversation within Twitter. And that smaller conversation is focused on what's going on with farming. So there's really a wealth of interesting people on here. There's people from Extension. This is a farmer who's very active in promoting the use of social media. Ohio Farm Bureau, for example, they're in there talking about their local and national issues. Well, there's a good example. This is Ohio Farm Bureau, and they're talking about a federal estate tax. Most of the ag media is on Twitter, as well as a lot of different extension agents and local farm bureaus. Ag News is a good example of ag media that's in here. And so this is an example of you don't necessarily want to subscribe to all these different ag publications. You don't necessarily want to remember to go to their website every day, but they'll be tweeting out links to different stories, and you can just get a summary right here of what their stories are. And if you think that the story is interesting, then you can just click right through and the story pops right up. One of the things that's useful on Twitter is lists. So what I've done, and I've done it because you are welcome to come and take advantage of this work, I've created some lists that I hope would be helpful to other people. And certainly when I'm trying to build my followers, I go in and I use other people's lists. But I have a list right now. See these lists come up. I have a list of ag media. So you could either follow the list, and then you would see when you had your Twitter account, just by following that list, you would see the same thing that I see here when I click on this list, which is all these different ag media accounts. Or you could go in and you could say, I'm going to view the list page. I'm going to see who she's following in ag media. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to follow all these people. Now, in my case on this list, I'm not following some of the people that are on the list. I put them on the list, but I'm not following them. The reason for that is because I'm kind of fussy, and I unfollow people who don't follow me back. And unfortunately, a lot of the ag media doesn't necessarily follow back. This is a way that I can follow them in the sense of coming in and reading and getting my news from them without having my actual ratio of people I'm following to people that are following me get messed up by following a lot of people that don't follow back. The reason that's important is because Twitter, in order to avoid spam, limits that ratio. So if you're following a lot more people than are following you, it'll actually cut you off so you can't continue following new people until more people follow you. And that's just to prevent people who go out and follow everybody in the universe and start trying to set out a lot of advertising spam. So on that vein of talking about following and followers, when you have an account, one of the things you want to do to be social is go out and follow the people that you think are interesting. And to get started, I recommend finding a couple of people that look interesting and then following the people that they're following. And that's a way to get started. But one thing you really have to do pretty much every day, certainly a couple times a week, if you want to keep your Twitter account looking good and not doing anything to damage your reputation, is you want to go and check your followers. Because there are a lot of people that come on Twitter and they're not really savory characters, let's say, and they follow you, and I feel that that would reflect poorly on me if there was someone following me that really was hawking something that seemed really inappropriate. So these are the followers that I just got in very recently, and I'm usually really suspicious of these people that try to sell free money online. So I go in, I take a quick look. This one doesn't look so bad. A lot of times they'll just be constant tweets trying to get you to go to a website. So what I do, and I'll go ahead and do it here because I disapprove of people selling free money. So I just go in immediately and I just block them. And now they're gone. And so when you look at my account, you don't see that I'm being followed by that account. Pretty much other people, if they look legitimate, I'll go in and I'll look at them really quick and I'll see if they really are a person and not sort of an automaton. And if they look legit, then and I look at their, are they really a real account? And I'll just go ahead and follow them back. I think that's pretty much my overview of Twitter. I think so here I got a response already. Where'd it go? I'll go to mentions here. There's a way to look and see who's talking to me. So this is a woman who does ag communications at UC Davis. I've never met her in person. She and I have been Twittering back and forth since I joined Twitter a few years ago. And so she saw that I was doing this webinar, and she asked me the question. So I'm going to reply to her right away that I'm doing this with eOrganic /e-extension. I hope I'm doing this right. At Oregon State. We are going to show them, see, now this is where I'm tricky. I'm going to promote this other account. We're going to show them at EcoFarm. And so now I'm using this EcoFarm Twitter account in my tweet to be as social as possible. Now I send that out, and you'll see it appearing here in my timeline, I think. Sometimes, there we go. So now it goes back. So basically what you're doing here is you're having a conversation between two people, but the conversation is taking place in public. And much like being at a cocktail party where when you're standing there talking to someone, you're hopefully being very open to other people coming up and joining in that conversation. That's exactly what you're doing at Twitter. You may meet someone and you may have some one-on-one dialogue back and forth with them, but by definition, you're being open to other people joining into that conversation. All right, I think that's all the overview I'm going to give you because there are lots and lots and lots of resources out there about Twitter and about how to use it, but the endorsement that I want to give is that there is a great community of farmers and ag media and foodies and urban farmers and beginning farmers and ag educators and marketers and processors, and really every segment of the ag industry is on Twitter, and they're finding it an incredibly valuable tool. So I encourage you to join up and come find us. Thank you.